Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming in to meet with me today.
Thank you.
I can see you found the place okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad you didn't have any trouble finding us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was definitely a pleasure speaking with you the other day on the phone. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation and was definitely looking forward to getting a chance to meet you in person and just kind of get to know you a little bit better. And also it's a two-way street, so give you the chance to kind of get to know us a little bit better as well. So I know we talked the other day and kind of got a good basic understanding of what you're doing and kind of, you know, what you've been up to lately and where you've been with regards to some of your background and experience, but definitely want to dive in a little bit further. So first, before we start into all of that, tell me a little bit about Stephanie, a little bit about you.
I've lived in Oregon the past couple of years. I have a husband and a grown son, and I love it here. And I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for the past several years, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. I love here in Oregon
yes.
too, absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing with that organization that you're with now. I mean, I know your resume, I did have a chance to review that, and we did talk a little bit about that on our phone call, but maybe if you don't mind kind of taking me a little bit of a deeper dive into your role with them and sort of, you know, what your experience looks like there and what that looks like day in, day out for you.
Sure. So I've been with XYZ Pharmaceuticals for the past 5 years, and I lead a team of 5 people over 3 states, and I've just been team building and meeting with businesses, corporate dropping, things of that nature.
Okay. Well, curious to know, so you've heard the term corporate dropping, I just heard you say that, so sounds like the main focus for you as far as your clientele is business owners?
Yes.
Is that gathering information correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Have you ever had to focus ever in your life in an individual consumer type of sale?
Yes, and it was not as, I prefer the other method.
The business to
Yes,
business? Yeah, I came from that world too. When it comes to individual type sales, and I definitely wish I would have figured out business to business a little bit sooner in my career, but better late than never. Well, great. So curious to know, why are you currently looking for a new career opportunity right now?
Sure. So my territory is Oregon, Idaho, Washington, which is geographically rather large, a lot of travel, and I'm looking for a better work-life balance. I've been putting in about 60 hours a week.
Oh, okay. And I'm assuming you do travel to those other 3 states that you're...
Yes, correct.
Okay.
About 2 weeks a month I've been traveling.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I can see, especially after doing that for quite a few years as well,
Yes.
wanting a little bit more of a balance there.
Definitely.
Understandable. Well, I mean, there's definitely no wrong answer to this question, but do you see yourself being more of a top-performing individual or managing a top-performing team?
I like to manage the team. I like the team building, camaraderie, the support. I like to mentor people, and I'm passionate about that.
That's one of your passions.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, great. So I know you're obviously interested in a leadership position. What type of leader would you say that you are?
I'm strong and competitive and compassionate, and feel strongly about helping people.
Helping people, so making a difference.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are kind of your main focuses as you're working with people on the forefront of your mind, which is great. That's awesome. I'm wired very similar to you. Well, I mean, before I gave you a call the other day, have you ever heard of Colonial Life before?
I had not.
Awesome. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about us and really just who we are as a company and where we focus and sort of kind of where you're headed, where we're headed together. So basically, we've been in business since 1939. I know I kind of just mentioned that we also operate more in a business-to-business type of setting. And really our clientele are folks that you might already be familiar with, like small business owners, sometimes C-level executives, folks like HR directors. And so really what our sales force does and what their primary focus is their responsibility is essentially just sit down with those business owners and have a conversation and really just kind of help them identify, you know, here's what you have in place when it comes to supplementary employee benefits. Based on that conversation, here's what you need. And then here are all of the different gaps that we can fill with regards to what's, you know, available and all the different solutions that we can provide. So that's our main market with what we focus on. Is that something that you could see yourself being successful in doing with the organization as far as the kind of market we operate in and the focus that we have?
I'm confident that I would, yes.
Yeah, with your business-to-business experience, I think you would be too. What would you say typically motivates you? I know you talked a little bit earlier about what you're passionate about as far as making a difference, but what would you say also motivates you? I know it sounds like a very similar question, but sometimes people have a passion for something, but maybe motivated by something else.
At this point in my life, I really feel strongly about work-life balance, and I also want to work for a company that helps people and makes a difference in the world.
So something that you can really get behind first before you even, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, and as far as our typical, I guess, hours of operation, I guess I can say, our business hours are typically 8 to 5 because we are working with those business owners, and usually the people that are handling employee type benefits are usually in during business hours. So there's really not really any nights or weekends or anything like that, which is great. So sounds like that's something that would be a good fit for you.
Yes.
And as far as travel goes, I know you mentioned you did a ton of travel about 2 weeks of the month, and so as far as travel with this type of role, there really wouldn't be any sort of outside of the state travel, and your main focus as far as where you do go out is going to be mainly in this particular area in your territory of the Lake Oswego type Portland area. So that would be the extent of your travel for the most part. Okay. So let me go a little bit more into maybe some of our products in general, not like a deep dive, but just when I say employee benefits, I want to make sure that's defined on generally what I'm talking about. So, but I almost kind of feel like before I tell us who we are, I almost kind of have to define who we're not, and that helps to get to a better understanding of why the products that we offer here are as valuable as they are. So we definitely aren't an insurance company that does, home, auto, or life or anything like that. We don't do any sort of health or major medical, which is why some of our products kind of really help fill in a lot of those gaps and why they are so much in demand and invaluable. So as you obviously know, health insurance costs have just gone up so much for business owners to be able to provide. And as a trickle-down effect, same thing for employees. And so you have high deductibles like $5,000 out there these days. Yeah, definitely a challenge. And essentially they're paying a lot more, but for a lot less coverage. And so some of the products that we offer are really designed to help supplement some of those gaps. So we offer products like short-term disability, long-term disability, indemnity type policies, cancer policies, and accident policies. So that's sort of what I mean when I say the word employee benefits. That's what those products are looking like. Have you ever heard of an accident policy before?
I believe my brother has one, yes.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about the food. You were talking about the accident policy that he was telling you about. That's awesome. Smart man for sure. But I'm always kind of curious to see, no wrong answer to this question, but an accident policy, how much do you think something like that would cost for somebody to provide on a monthly basis, premium-wise?
I would guess maybe $200.
That's a common answer. I get that a lot, $200. Yeah, they're actually really affordable products. So on average, it's about $25 a month for an individual and $47 for a family. So yeah, a lot less expensive than people think. Yes. Well, so as a more of a deeper dive into the company now, so I mentioned we have been in business since 1939. We actually started out in South Carolina where our headquarters is. So we're a pretty big company. We have over $1.7 billion in in-force premium. We do have over 10,000 sales field reps today out in the field. We are in 49 states, and we really want to grow. So we're actually really trying to, we're on pace for this goal, but we want to insure over 5 million people by the end of 2020. And we are on pace to hit that goal, so super exciting there. But as big as we are, we also only have about 1% of the market here in Oregon. So we definitely want to continue that growth path, which is sort of why we're linking up today. So let me just tell you a little bit more about the agency development manager role and the two primary focuses with that role. So one of the main focuses is training and development, field training and development. Curious to know, I know you've had quite a bit of a sales experience before the role that you're doing now, just maybe in different industries as a sales representative before you transitioned into the sales leader role that you are with now. Tell me a little bit about some of your onboarding experiences when it comes to training after day one.
We've had classroom training for a few days, and then we're sent out into the field. Good luck to you. That's about it. Some holes in the training there,
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I do. I think that's kind of common, but that's where your role is so critical, and why we have that strong focus with field training and developing, because that's honestly where it's going to matter the most, and that's what's going to make or break them. So when I say field training and developing, we also do what you refer to as corporate dropping or drops. And so they get to watch you do a sale and talk to a business owner and do what we call a decision-making presentation. And then really get a grasp of what that really actually looks like. And then they get a chance to go out and try it on their end and do it on their own. And so, giving them really good feedback and helping them, constructive feedback I would say, but training them up, encouraging them, and really just developing them out in the field is one of the main focuses of the role. And then one of the other main focuses, well, in no particular order, as far as level of high focus and priorities, but is also growing and expanding your team, right? And so as your guys and gals continue to work with you, they'll eventually over time be a lot less hands-on with you. But yeah, growing your team, finding new talent and individuals that you can onboard to your team, and then training and developing them as well. That's the two main components of the role. So is that something that you could see yourself being successful in?
Definitely. That sounds great.
Yeah. Why do you feel like you would be successful in that role, as far as what traits that you can offer or experience that you can offer?
I feel that I have the experience in mentoring and team building and training, and I would make a good success of this. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I think there's three main things that I want to make sure are always covered, and very common. But those three things say, okay, is the company a good company? What kind of products do they offer? And are those products affordable? Are they sellable, right? And do they have value? So that's one main question surrounding products and what that looks like. The second question is, okay, if I know the products are valuable, something I can definitely stand behind and sell, and are affordable as well, then can I sell that in this particular market? Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about that in our market share here. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, the third question, and maybe one of the most important questions, is can you sell those products in this market? Mm-hmm. And the answer to that question, I think, would be something, to think about. So, if you can really see yourself being able to walk into a small business owner and just say, hey, you know what, my name is Shannon, nice to meet you, don't want any of your time today, know you're busy, wanted to sit down with you for 15 minutes sometime next week, see if I can help save you some money, and maybe help out your employees, make sure they're all taken care of as well. Which day works best for you? Tuesday at 1, Thursday at 10 a.m. Thursday at 10, that sounds great, see you then. Mm-hmm. So is that something that you ultimately can see yourself being able to do?
Yes, and I feel that working for a company that's doing something good and helping people is really important to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great. What really gets your emotions going more, winning or losing?
I would have to say losing. It gets me fired up. I'm very competitive. I don't like to lose.
No, yeah, I'm definitely wired very similar to you. I'm very competitive as well. Don't like to lose, so I can definitely relate to you there, Stephanie. Well, so far, what questions do you really have for me?
I do have a question. Would this be a team from scratch that I would be leading?
Yep, and that's the beauty of this whole thing, right? I don't know if you've ever seen anybody who's kind of gotten into a company at almost the right time at the ground level, where they've kind of just started and didn't have that framework fully built yet. Mm-hmm. But then now they're all of a sudden, very far along in the organization. Same concept here. So that's the exciting part, is we get to build together on the ground level, and you really get to expand and grow your team and build your own culture the way you want to do it.
That sounds great.
So that's a great question. What other questions do you have for me?
What would be the next steps going forward?
Yeah, so ultimately, after speaking with you today, Stephanie, I do feel comfortable enough, given your background and experience, but also some of the mentality and core values you have, talking about wanting to make a difference and how important it is for you to change lives. I really think that you have the right mentality, but also the right background to be a good fit in a role like this. So I know we talked about compensation and sort of the high level of the 4 levels on the phone and generally how it works. Mm-hmm. But I am comfortable enough to invite you back to come in for a second interview so that you and I can really just sit down together and go over all of that in much greater depth. So, which day works best for you? Either Wednesday or Thursday of this week?
Thursday would be great.
Thursday, okay. Let's say Thursday at 9 a.m. Does that work for you?
Perfect.
Great. Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and get you a new confirmation email sent out. And if you don't have any further questions for me, I'm looking forward to meeting with you again on Thursday morning.
Sounds great.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephanie.